I know what you were thinking, okay? You were really hoping that they were going to install Copilot into Notepad. And then you were really hoping that when you went to go use Copilot in Notepad, you had to log into Notepad with your Microsoft account. I know, listen, Microsoft got you covered, it's okay. But if you're not into those features, which, like, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you're not into those features, you can always use the go-to replacement, Notepad++, except the fact that Notepad++ has been hacked, sort of. There's a lot of, I think, fear mongering, maybe some fear stuff going on with Notepad++. It has been hacked in a certain way, but not normally, not the way we normally see hacks, okay? So Notepad++ users, take note, it's time to check to see if you're hacked. Suspected China state hackers use update infrastructure to deliver a backdoored version. So very interesting thing we have going on here. We see a threat actor using a vulnerability in the way that Notepad++ does updating to target a very small specific group of individuals and not do some kind of like mass exploitation of Notepad++. Now I want to kind of highlight what's neat about this is Kevin Beaumont. If I mispronounced your name, Kevin, I'm very sorry, but he actually wrote up this report in December of last year where he collects evidence going back to November of last year, where he says that I've heard from 3 orgs now who've had security incidences on boxes with Notepad++ installed, where it appears Notepad++ processes have spawned the initial access. These have resulted in hands-on keyboard threat actors, meaning it's not a threat actor where like you have some kind of info stealer or like a crypto miner where it's all automated so that the actor doesn't have to do anything. It is such a high detail operation on the part of the threat actor. They have somebody manually running the operation like with their hands on keyboard, right? This means this is very targeted, very specific access that this group is getting, which is really interesting. And again, it's interesting that this goes back to December 2nd. So what he notices in this is that there's actually a bug fix in version 8.8.8 of Notepad++ that literally the commit message is security enhancement, prevent Notepad++ updater from being hijacked, which is not great. Now, as he highlights here, and I want to make sure we're also highlighting this here, the point of this article is not to flame the very good developer of Notepad++. The way this was exploited, technically, like if what we're seeing is true, is some severe like nation state level tampering of potentially with encrypted traffic, which is pretty interesting. So the way that this all works is Kevin goes into in great detail in his article. Please go read his article. I'm just kind of like riffing off the top of it. The Notepad++ update process uses this updater called GUP or WinGUP. And the way that it works, when you want to update a process, you want to update a program, you have to reach out and get like a manifest file, right? Like some file that tells you, do you have the right version of the software? What version are we serving? Oh, and then where do you go and get that version, right? And so in the GUP manifest here, you see kind of this XML file, and you'll see that we say, you know, it does need to be updated. We are serving version 8.8.8 at the time, and it shows you the place where you go and get it. You go get the update for Notepad++ at github.com/notepad++, and then the long release on github.com that gets you the exe. This is downloaded and saved in temp. Now you may be wondering, wait a minute, if this is done over HTTPS, if this is done encrypted, like how are they able to just arbitrarily download malware onto my machine? Well, there are kind of 2 primary issues. First of all, originally the traffic may have just been done over HTTP, right? And because HTTP is not only clear text traffic, but also there's no authentication with just raw HTTP, it doesn't have the authentication that the TLS layer gives you. You know, if you can intercept HTTP traffic, you could potentially either redirect the source of this file or even just modify the contents of this file to point the location to another location, right? Download a different installer. You may be asking, wait a minute, hold on. So I get a different exe, but that exe wasn't compiled and signed by the original creators of Notepad++. So why does that even matter? The downloads themselves are signed, but some earlier versions of Notepad++ use a self-signed root cert, which is on GitHub. With 8.8.7, the prior release, this was reverted to global sign being a much bigger trusted root certificate authority. And eventually, effectively, there was a situation where for some versions, the download is not robustly checked for tampering. What is very interesting though is that after a while, they observed, I think, some compromises of this happening over HTTPS, which means that there is somewhere in the chain between people that are downloading Notepad++ and Notepad++ is an ISP associated with a nation state that has the ability to probably use a compromised certificate authority to intercept TLS traffic, right? Which is terrifying to think about, but not impossible given the way the technology works, right? So in theory, you know, Chinese nation state supposedly sees the person that they're trying to target, going after this install. Okay, cool. So they know they have to go and change the manifest location by a TLS intercept, and they have that person now go download the backdoor version of Notepad++, which is really crazy. Before we keep going, today's video is sponsored by me. Guys, I honestly believe that if you are a programmer in literally any language, be it Go, Python, or JavaScript, it will make you a better programmer if you understand the fundamentals at the low level. That's me, by the way. And so I've made the Level Academy just to teach you those things. My courses are designed to teach you the fundamentals of how computers work at a very low level, at a simple level, so that you can get better at programming in general. Right now, you can go and sign up for my free course here in the hero section to get free 3-day course to take, a little sample of what you might get. Or you can go and do the preview of the 0 to Hero C Programmer course and see what we got on the inside. You get the first lesson and the pointers lesson absolutely free. And if you make an account right now, you can go ahead and use our in-browser code editor. Guys, to be a good programmer, you gotta know the fundamentals. And where do you learn the fundamentals? On Low Level Academy. Okay, back to the video. Based off of Kevin's analysis, what he's saying is that the update for the security patch is not only that he changed, I think, some of the, probably plain text encryption on HTTP and some other stuff. He also said forced download domain, right? Meaning that you can only get Notepad++ from this URL, which means likely that like the front end of this GUP manifest was being replaced with like some malicious URL that allowed you to go, that pulled down the malware, right? Which is pretty interesting. And then so what would happen is you would then see from your Notepad++ instance, there are people reporting, hey, just out of curiosity, there is a curl binary, curl being the binary that you can use to arbitrarily make web requests over HTTP and otherwise. Yeah, so I saw as a child process of Notepad++, curl is uploading files to temp.sh/upload. Does anyone else know what's going on here? Oh, I'm also seeing command netstat ANO system info task list and who am I, which are like very traditional, like initial recon on a box, right? Netstat ANO gets you what ports are listening, task lists obviously are what processes are running on the box, and then who am I is getting you what privilege level do you have on Windows. So yeah, that's like hackers are in your shit type commands. And again, it's crazy that this is all spawning from the notepad++.exe process. Now, it is possible that potentially maybe someone did DLL side loading into Notepad++ at this time, but after enough analysis went through, people are seeing like, oh no, literally like Notepad++ was getting autoupdater.exe, which was spawning all of this malicious stuff, which is just bonkers. And then so Rapid7, right, the security company behind software like Metasploit, for example, they did the analysis of kind of the entire chain of, you get code execution through this, and then what are they putting on the computers and what are they doing with it? The chain looks kind of like this. It's interesting. So they see this nsis.nsi script, which apparently is like very common for this specific China APT. They load Bluetooth service.exe, that name likely just to like kind of blend in with the other processing on the computer, which is actually just a legitimate Bitdefender submission wizard, which is used for DLL sideloading. DLL sideloading is this technique that you use where if you have a process that looks for, apple.dll, right? Like Apple, like literally just the word Apple. And apple.dll comes legitimately with the process. If you want to have it load your DLL that does malicious stuff and kind of have it blend in with the process, you can just name your DLL apple.dll and put it in a folder that has a higher precedence of load order, and then it'll get loaded into the service, right? So they use that to maliciously sideload log.dll, a very simple word that gets loaded by Bluetooth service, and then log.dll does a lot of the malicious stuff, and it has the ability to load, decrypt, and execute shellcode, which comes in the form of this Bluetooth service file, which is just an encrypted shellcode blob, right? And they do a bunch of de-XORing and de-encryption, right? It's all XOR. Everything, every APT, nation state actors using XOR encryption out here to get the shellcode out and doing the evil stuff. And then from there, it just seems like traditional CNO stuff where they're doing cyber network operations to hack in and steal your data and watch you do evil shit. Oh yeah, and here are the opcodes, right? You're able to spawn or interactive shell, C2 check-in, create a process, right, follow the disk, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And I may be curious, why is China so interested in Notepad++? There's no reason that the nation of China would have anything to do with Notepad++, nor would Russia. Russia probably also would have nothing to do with that, and then later on the self-signed certificate thing kind of maybe bit him in the ass a little bit. I literally just saw this tweet by Smelly VX Underground. Notepad++ says infra compromised. Suspects Chinese state-sponsored hackers. Why would China hate Notepad++? Looks inside, and it's literally what I just said. That's so fucking funny, dude. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. This hack I want to highlight is a lot more fun than the normal ones, right? Because normally it's just like shitware software has vulnerability, gets exploited, people download horse porn onto everyone's computers and mine Monero, right? Like that's like been every intrusion, it feels like, for the last like 3 years. This is for the first time in a while an intrusion where it's like, oh, like it is highly targeted using a very, very specific technique that is very resource intensive, potentially leading to a TLS intercept to run code on their system and do like real CNO hacker shit, right? It's really, really interesting. But yeah, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, hit the sub button over here and then go check out this other video that I think you'll enjoy just as much. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.